Let's move on to our next story. Get a bag of salt, not a pinch of salt. I mean, look, I have said in the past that Neil Custis has been right in the Sun about some stuff, but increasingly over the last 12 months, I would question it. This is his story, came in last night. Manchester United players fear Erik ten Hag has now resigned himself to the sack at the end of the season. A number of United players have noticed a change in his demeanour in Ten Hag in recent weeks. I mean, this has got more holes in it than a hedgehog's pillow. It doesn't make any sense, and you can run off on so many different areas here. I mean, for one, it sounds like an excuse for the players to be shit because they're trying to say the manager's given up. For two, this is where our players go wrong. You're a Man United player. Like, it doesn't matter how the manager is, you should still have pride in the shirt. Three, why would Ten Hag have given up in recent weeks when Laurie Whitwell last week said that Ten Hag was getting on well with Ineos and confident into the summer? So there's a lot of twists and turns there. And I've got to say, I don't really know which way to take it because there's so many different stories about the manager at the moment. We had a story from Rob Dawson last night that Dan Ashworth will decide. Well, Dan Ashworth's not even in position. How can he decide? Some people say it won't be decided till the end of the season. Some people have said they've already decided they're going to stick with Ten Hag. So it's just another story about the manager. What I would say is, knowing the industry like I know it, Neil Custis in the Sun, what Man United player is waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and going, where's WhatsApp? I need to speak to Neil Custis at the Sun. I don't understand what United player would do that. And it certainly wouldn't be a Rasmus, a Bruno, a Dalot, a Garnacho, because the foreign players don't link in with the British press. They don't do it. That's not who the Manchester Evening News are talking to. That's not who the Sun would be talking to. So, look, we're a fan community. I don't have an editor. I don't have a producer at Sky saying you can't say this, you can't say that. We can say what we want within reason because we're a fan community and we bounce ideas around. But I've said it a few times. The way leaks work from the dressing room, it's not going to be a foreign player talking to an English or British journalist because in the main, they get treated quite badly by the British press. And it's the British players that tend to have good relationships with the press through their agents. There'll be certain players at football clubs who have an agent who have built good rapport with certain journalists. That's how it works. And you get little bits of information. So if Neil Custis is getting anything, it'll be from the British contingent. But I don't see why any of our British players would leak to the Sun when they could leak to the Athletic. They could leak to the Manchester Evening News or whoever. So I file this story as I'm not interested. When Laurie Whitwell said last week that, things are going well between Ineos and Ten Hag, I sort of sat up and went, well, that's very interesting. It's counter to what other people are saying, but it's interesting. But Man United players fear Ten Hag has now resigned himself to the sack at the end of the season, and Neil Custis gets an exclusive on that. I don't see that. And also, what I would say is that it'll probably be a relative of a British player or, a coach or something like that. It won't be first-hand information. And what does it mean anyway? What does it mean? Why are the players looking at a manager and thinking he's given up? Why is that acceptable? Like, nobody should be giving up in a Manchester United shirt. It shouldn't be happening at all. So yeah, I don't hold a lot of information on that, but I also sometimes don't bother going looking to find out what's going on with that because I just don't like I just don't really I don't really pay any attention to it, to be honest with you. Bit of a breaking story coming out, actually. Funnily enough, we were talking about The Athletic. Despite the gossip, intrigue and conspiracy spreading, the delay to Malacia's return is overwhelmingly down to complications that can arise with any injury, particularly with a joint as complex as the knee. Malacia is back at Carrington this week, but will continue to work with a specialist and travel between Manchester, Barcelona and his home country until he's ready to join team training. He's still a few weeks away. Malacia is only expected to complete his recovery towards the very end of the season. It's expected a full recovery and not set to have a long-term impact. this season's consistently long injury list at Old Trafford has been a factor, sometimes stretching the medical department's resources. Other players set to return sooner have sometimes had to take priority over Malacia, and a decision was made to undergo surgery as his knee was still causing discomfort. A proposed surgeon in London was put forward, but Malacia wished to undergo treatment in the Netherlands with his own choice of surgeon. United agreed to that request and travelled home for the operation, which was conducted outside of the club's oversight. We've heard this many times about Manchester United. I think it happened with Martinez as well. Malacia is not a topic I intend to talk to you about this morning for a long time, but I know football, you know football. It's not normal for a player to miss 12 months. It's just not normal. Yeah, you can spin it and say it's not unusual, like it says in that article, for complications to happen. It's very unusual to be out of football for 12 months. Very, very, very unusual. Look, Malacia is a backup left back. Imagine this was a key player. There'd be a lot more noise around it. It's really, and I'm not going to name a player in the fear that it jinxes them and they do get an injury, but 12 months for a key player, we'd be pulling our hair out. It's only because it's a backup left back that we're going, what's going on? It's more of an intrigue thing, isn't it? But it's absolutely incredible that he's been out for 12 months. It's not normal. It's not usual. And he may well come back, but there's two things I'd say about Malacia. One, well, actually three things. One, it's a long injury, and will he actually be injury-free after this? Two, he's been out for a year, and a year at his age is development. So he's lost more than a year of injury. He's just lost a year of development. And three, the overarching thing for me, was he good enough in the first place? That's, in a harsh way, we've lost a player for a year that wasn't good enough in the first place and has also lost a year of development and will probably be injury prone for the rest of his career. So I don't think it looks good for Malacia, and I think that's why many of us have been talking about it for a very long time. He will probably end up as one of those players that comes back next season, goes on pre-season, we see he's not going to make it, and ends up over the next 2 years being phased out with loans and everything else. And that's not the end of the world. We only paid £15 million for him. I think Malacia was a very good signing by Manchester United and Ten Hag. The value, it was a bit like Dan James. I never had a problem with Dan James. It's 15 million quid, which is nothing in the modern game. If it works out, it's an absolute bargain. If it doesn't work out, you don't really lose any money on it. But, any player that misses 12 months of football is going to struggle to find their way back.
Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching as always.